We're back with the Intuitive Angel Internet radio program here. 24/7, the stream is where you are on your computer. Dave Enway along with Amy Biank, and we welcome to the show all the way from Chicago, Illinois, my second favorite city in the world, of course. We're talking to Dianne Bischoff. Dianne, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Well, sort of. I'm on a 2-day. It's the first time it's happened actually late for the broadcast today. Because of traffic related things, and it was very traumatic, but I made it. I'm here.
You made it
because Dianne was going to be on the show, and there wasn't no way I wasn't going to be here.
And that's the absolute truth.
Because Diane's a big celebrity now. Last time we talked to her, she was just
a medium celebrity.
Well, she was kind of moderately neato, sort of known a little bit. Now she's a big, huge star.
I know, I could tell.
Starring in a movie called The Poker Game is the new name of the movie?
Poker Night. Poker Night is his premiere tomorrow, and just got locked in on another movie where I get to be murdered by a young male vampire. So
a vampire, that's so exciting.
Don't save me.
Is he cute?
Is he cute? All vampires are cute, Dave.
Well,
for God's sake.
that's we live in a strange time now to where all the vampires are the good guys. You know. I want to do your nails.
Exactly.
Wow, I can look at your bloody corpse and say, I know her.
Anyway, well, hey, Dianne, welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you here. And I tell you what, let's take care of some business first. You got a big thing going on this weekend at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo happening at Tinley Park all weekend, Saturday and Sunday to Friday. Are they Friday evenings anymore or just Saturday and Sunday?
It's Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, well, cool. Well, you got your Life Reboot workshop happening. It's going to be at 2 o'clock on Sunday. So tell us about it.
Well, very excited. We're going to have the Life Reboot workshop. It's 2 hours, and we take a group through dynamic exercises and cover 3 key areas. In Life Rebooting, one of the things we're able to usually do in our first workshop, which is a level 1, is to get clear. And we work through dyads. We have a bit of education. We go over the 14 shortcuts for happy living, explain them in depth, which is part of the book, The Real Brass Ring. And then we go through these exercises that help excavate whoever's with us as participants, where they get incredibly real, incredibly raw, and incredibly authentic about what is their areas of passion. Are they living it now? How can you make shifts and changes? And we really cut through to the chase in this workshop and help everybody take their light, whatever light is in the core of you, it turns on very bright, and get really clear about how to get going with those key things that you're clear about now, and then get happy. And so that's what we're going to do in the workshop this Sunday, and it's going to be from 2 to 4 in Tinley Park at the Tinley Park Convention Center.
So it's very interactive?
Very, very, very interactive. And it's also, what's really beautiful about it, Amy, is that it also has, even though we are at an expo, we always have a private setting, and the participants get very close and create community very, very, very quickly. So it's it's an honor for me to be there, because I think when people first walk in, they're not quite sure what's going to happen and how we're going to do this in a short amount of time and in this setting. But we create a very safe environment. We work in dyads, so very often they're all paired up with people that you've never met, and we get right to the core issues. And I think partly because you're with someone that you don't know, and you're looking and talking about very real, very important things, who you really are, what you really came here to do. I think it gets really down to the nitty-gritty within the first hour. And so we get a lot of raw emotions. People oftentimes, let themselves be super happy. They let themselves cry. They let themselves go wherever they're going to go. And by the end of our couple hours, we have they oftentimes have complete clarity on what they need to do, some of the key shifts that they need to take. And then we're offering a level 2 workshop that will be in Libertyville, Illinois, and that will be one of our first level 2, and that's going to be at the present moment coming up in October. And so we're going to take, all the people who have had the chance to go through a level 1, and then we're going to really dive down again and get into all the stops and the blocks, because if we know what we need to be doing, and very oftentimes people are either afraid to do it, unable to do it, or just think this is never going to work, the impossible, this won't work out for me. And we're going to clear all of that away, strip it away, and then we're going to start doing our complete life plans. And that's what we're going to do in our level 2 work coming up in October. So it's a staged approach, but our first one is very, I would just finding that people are incredibly happy that they've had the opportunity to go through it.
So everybody who's going down to the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo, get there early. When is your class going on?
It's from 2 to 4.
Get there early, get a seat.
That's right, 2 to 4 on Sunday.
Get yourself ready for it, 2 to 4 on Sunday. As you're talking, I've been around in the metaphysical world for a couple of thousand years, so a very, very, very long time. And it started out many, many years ago, back in the 70s, 80s, with something called processing, right? And I've been to Stanislav Grof's workshops. I've done rebirthing. I've done getting in touch with myself. I've done family constellations. It just goes on and on. And what you're talking about seems to have taken, it's cut down to the quick, all of this stuff that I couldn't integrate at the time. And you've integrated it to make it not an easy journey, but a quick journey. It's just like pulling off that Band-Aid. Quick journey to be able to discovering who you are. And I feel deeply that until you discover who you are, you can't manifest what you desire.
Absolutely. And it's because, and I'm so glad you brought that up, it's because the heart cannot invest in a compromise. And so many of us, and this is where I started my journey, at 4, my entire life was a compromise. Not the healthy relationship. I had worked till I dropped in something that was just, it's okay, I'm good at it, but I don't love it. Had no creative outlets at all. I was not pursuing any passion areas, and never got that little light that I was kind of like, that little pilot light was never really burning. And I think the problem with that, of course, is that, as I'm sure you've learned, Amy, because you've been through so many different experiences, you get sick. You end up having physical issues.
Yeah.
I was like body breaking down. I was like 190 pounds, depressed, taking antidepressants. All of that is because of the compromises. I'm supposed to be doing this. This is what we should be doing. Whatever you love, even if it's, working in these crazy, for me, it's working in these crazy movies and doing these crazy scenes. It makes me happy. It's 5 minutes of doing something that makes me happy. My whole day changes, week changes, month changes, because you can dial up that light, and it really, really, really changes everything. And then everything can kind of add on as kind of this staired approach. So yeah, that's what we try to get through. And one of the other tricks is that very often all those little messages we had growing up, my fiance, for example, he said he used to, and this is, like when they give away, they do the pickup for garbage. Mm-hmm. He used to go out and grab like all the old electronics that were on the side of the street. When TVs were like 4 feet wide by 3 feet wide, Yeah. And he used to go in the garage. He used to take everybody's old broken monitors and TV sets, and he used to like take them apart, put other pieces in, and put them back together when he was a kid. First of all, that would not interest me, but he would do it for hours on end. He ends up having this incredible gift that just now he's having the chance to really say, wow, I really think being an inventor or creating something new, or his greatest light goes on when I'll say, if you could make this thing that goes from here to there and has all these different moving parts, and all of a sudden, he'll like put that like a little smile, and he walks off. Next thing you know, he's like mapping stuff out, because that's what turns him on. That's what gets him excited. So the things that we were doing in a very young age are very often the clues. It's the that we were told we couldn't, or it wasn't good for us, or you're not smart enough, or you're not attractive enough, or whatever it might be, whatever little messages got kind of stuffed in from the beginning, that's what's stopping us from doing it. So we try to excavate all that and just get rid of it.
I have a story to tell you that you're not aware of. After I interviewed you the last time, I went and got your book. I downloaded it on my Kindle, and I was reading your book, and I got excited about possibilities because at the time I was feeling like you live, you die, and there you have it. Which is not a good place to be, right? And
No.
You had talked about stretching. Of course, we were talking about being an actress. I'd always wanted to be Madonna, but I didn't want to shoot that high yet. So I remembered that when I was a kid, I was always going into the backyard and I was building things. And I was a girl, so that was not really. I didn't get my family wasn't enthusiastic about my building things, so I had pushed it into the back of my mind. And I was taking your advice, and I was. Against all odds, upgrading my house, doing all kinds of projects in the house. And one of the things I wanted was to put some new furniture into the house, but I couldn't afford it. I could afford, however, furniture kits. So
awesome.
you're talking to a person who never used a power tool, had a vague idea what a screwdriver was for, and I went and got these kits, and they're not self-explanatory exactly.
I'll say this much: Amy now has stock in IKEA.
And I went ahead and I built this furniture, and what it did to my mind is when I was doing this odd thing, it rewired how I thought. So I think that's something that people don't understand. When you like your boyfriend, when he goes to invent something, he becomes a different person. The way his neurons fire become different. And so I got, instead of being thinking that you live and then you die, I began seeing that, there's all these possibilities in the world, that every day the universe gives me infinite, exciting possibilities, and all I have to do is be awake enough to grab them. And now I don't build. I mean, you can only build so much furniture, but now I'm not doing it. But the legacy of that is that I'm a much happier, cheerful, hopeful person. And I think that's what you're talking about. You're talking about giving people hope, right?
Absolutely. And you have thank you so much. It's such a beautiful example in that you turned yourself on with that. I mean, by the way, I call it, and no offense, Dave, I call it girl power. Sometimes, like, if he's gone or he's traveling and I'm here with the kids and, I'm not skilled that way at all. And I brought out, same thing like you, but I brought out this, I don't know, there's 1,000 pieces to this, screwdriver kit or something. And I looked at my daughter, I go, girl power, we are going to figure this out. And so we sat there and it was embarrassing, but eventually we got the right piece. I was able to put it, make it work, and it was one of those autos. It was incredibly difficult, but it worked, and we pulled it together, and we felt so good about ourselves because nobody helped us, and it's not my skill set, but I was like, girl power, and we were giving ourselves high fives, and I took this thing apart.
Okay, well, hold the thought. We have to go to break.
Hold on, girl power.
Hold on, girl power. Yeah, we're going to be good.
All right, hold that thought, and we're going to come right back with more with Dianne Bischoff. And here on the Intuitive Angel Internet Radio program, you're logged with the Intuitive Angel Internet Radio program here on 24/7 The Stream. Dave Enway, along with Amy Biank, and our wonderful guest, Dianne Bischoff. And tell you what, we were talking about girl power. Now, that's really cool. That you found, the internal fortitude for girl power, and so I've had the same thing. I call it male competence. And you know what? It sometimes works.
Every once in a while.
But not always. But you were talking about girl power, and you got that. What exactly was it that you built, that you got together, that made you feel so good? I know the feeling.
Well, for me, I was trying to take something apart.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I have never seen a screwdriver that has it literally had 30 pieces to it just to put the top on with the right size, with the right shape, and it goes in different directions. So it was kind of like a puzzle, and I think the core or the central theme of all of this is you can do it. And so I was not going to give up. That was the end of it, and I had to pull in all my kids and everything. We're all like holding it and trying to make it work, and we figured it out. And so everybody was like, I don't know, it just kind of made our whole night.
Phew, let's order a pizza.
Girl power.
Well, here's the deeper thing to that. I was studying Einstein. Einstein had an idea that we had something called morphic fields that we lived in, and that morphic fields caused us to think or feel in a particular way. So every country, every neighborhood, every family has certain set parameters that this is how we feel about this or that, right? So my little granddaughter, Jetty, hello, Jetty. Jetty came up, and we were throwing a ball back and forth. And I said, Jetty, throw me the ball. And she goes, oh, Nana, I throw like a girl. And I said, I thought about that. Like, what does that mean, throw like a girl? And I had just seen on television the girl who is the pitcher who throws the fastest fastball ever.
Wow.
And I looked at my granddaughter and I said, yeah, okay, throw like a girl. Throw like that girl, the one that throws the ball so fast. Because what does throw like a girl mean? And she just kind of looked at me and she goes, yeah, I can throw like that. And so now she whips the ball around and breaks things. But the thing is that she had in her mind, and she had in her mind because that's what we all believed. We just all believed that girls had a wimpy fastball, that when they threw with their wrist in a particular way, and that was gender specific. And it's not. It doesn't have anything to do with anything except it perpetuates itself. So what you're telling people is don't perpetuate the bad things, correct?
Right. It's like the core belief system that is exactly what you're bringing up. Whatever core belief, and this is something that I like to talk about in our workshops, is you know if you own something or not. Now, there's two sides to that ownership. One side of the ownership is if somebody said, you're short, I would say, well, I'm 5'6", I'm pretty average for a girl, so you could call me short all day long. And I don't own that. And it doesn't bother me. Call me short, call me tall, whatever. I don't own it. But if you call me fat, because I've been overweight since birth and lost...
Since birth.
Since birth. I actually have the pictures. So I had struggled with that as my addiction. I've had food addiction until I lost, 60 pounds. I've had a food addiction. I was 190 pounds. So even today, you call me fat, I have a response to that, and it is something that I'm still trying to own as not mine. So there's a little piece of me that still owns that, and that's my core belief, just because I dealt with that for 40 years in this lifetime, and then, didn't change it till I was almost 45. So it's about those core beliefs, and whether or not you have bought into it or have not bought into it. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, Amy, because a girl could throw any, you know what I mean? She could, in
Why not?
theory, a girl could throw fast, could throw slow, or like I do, I just throw it into the ground. I really cannot throw. But, I'm okay with that because I don't have any emotional attachment to it at all. So I think that's absolutely fantastic that we're able to change all that now, especially with the kids. And as they're evolving, and women have changed so much in particular over the last, since we had to break that glass ceiling, we're doing, men and women are doing whatever is their, hopefully, what is their passion and their purpose and their contribution. And that's what I like to help people get back to, and that's what feels good.
Well, even in your workshops, I'm sure, I know for myself, I spent many, many years teaching women because men just didn't come. And now I have a great deal of men who come to the workshops, and they want to learn and I am. I got interested in this, and what now they're saying is genetically is that there aren't men and women. That idea that it's cut and dried, two sexes, is sophomoric, and that there's probably as many as, or even more, 12 different sexes, so that we have a woman who has big shoulders and a lot of testosterone, although she can still bear children and she can be with a man. We have men who have more feminine characteristics. They may have hips when normally men are slim. We have
they could be decathlon winners.
They could be decathlon winners. Yes, there you have it. We have so many different variables that now we're forced to look at the individual as an individual instead of cookie cutter.
And I love all that because it ties into some of the materials that I just can't seem to get enough of, is like Journey of Souls by Michael Newton, and it talks about that we have, as we pass back and forth through different lifetimes, that we have usually an affinity towards one sex or another, but that we can choose which one, and to learn that there's the mother Earth, father and paternal son side, so we can have all these different experiences, and that if we can really be comfortable on both sides with the heart. Yes. And then the head. So it's all the reflection of all of that, and that we come in to actually have those different experiences very, very, very willingly, even if you're not comfortable being, whatever. It's why some women have more masculine tendencies, because they're probably more comfortable in that valence. And I think it's whatever makes you feel good. So it's completely gender neutral to me. And I also want to just throw in there, I am so delighted that in most of my workshops, I didn't really know, we only been doing this for just about a little over a year now, and we're getting at least 30%, sometimes up to 50% are men, and sometimes couples, which is really fun to get people who are willing to work together and grow together on the same path at the same time. That's what's super exciting to me. So I love it. I love it, and it's definitely both genders.
I watching the evolution has been wonderful. Understanding that people are willing to step out of the traditional molds and look for happiness is just so exciting. One of the fallouts of that, however, is that I think a lot of people come to a point in their marriages, in their relationships, in their careers, when they look up and they say, you know what, I don't want to do this forever. I don't want to die unhappy. I want to go for the gold ring. I want to get that brass ring. I need to do something else. And that's what you work with, don't you? Opening up the doorway in a not a conservative, but in a safe way, to be able to envision, even if you're with someone, partner, and you are changing, you can let the partner know that you're changing, and maybe the two of you can change together, or maybe you have to go on down the road. It depends.
Right, exactly. And the part that is always amazing to me, and I try to bring this up so people can be aware of it, is that we spend so much time, money, and attention on everything in our external world. We will, women, we'll get our hair done, nails. Men will go out and buy the best suits, or you get these great cars. So we take care of our external world, no problem. Anything breaking down, we'll go address it. But when it comes to the inside, I always think of it kind of like a cylinder. If this is our core self, we, I think, still as a society are moving towards, hopefully, addressing the inner world. And it's because we don't take the time to address this core passion, our actual purpose. What about lessons that we actually came here to work on as an individual? What if that lesson involves your partner, or doesn't involve your partner, or involves being on your own, or maybe learning how the two of you can grow along a path that has separated a little bit, the way I look at it is, we're beings of light and we're waves, and those waves do keep moving and they come in and out. They can either move, separate, completely go off in different directions, or sometimes if it is it's right for both beings, you can bring those waves back together. And I like to always try to put myself as the first guinea pig here, and I'll even admit, I asked my my fiance, we've been together 8 years, and I finally said, we're going to go off and we're going to talk to somebody. We're going to a counselor because we were having a tough patch. And it wasn't super serious, but we were having enough friction where I said, I'm not your therapist and you're not my therapist, and we need to invest in us. And he said, let's go. And it was really funny how 1 hour session with a woman neither of us had met was as if somebody had given us, it was kind of like we went all the way back to, ooh, you're cool. Oh, let's go back to the honeymoon phase, because he got to express himself in a safe environment. I had to express myself, and we have blind spots.
Okay.
And your partner usually is the one, if you have a friction area or a lesson you're trying to learn, they're bringing it up right in your face. And it's awful hard to be objective when it's your blind spot. And so that's where I wish we were able to make a bigger investment or have better, easier to attend programs where partners could say, okay, we're having like too much friction. This is, these things it's getting a little hot in here. We need to go address this with someone who's objective and can open our hearts up again. But I think we do that. Oftentimes people let it go to the point where it's at disdain or contempt or get me away from this person. And if we're actually working on the inside more for not only for ourselves but in these relationships, my hope is that the waves will come back together more often and not necessarily have to separate. And that's where I just wish that there was a whole mind shift on that, easier programs. And Amy, if we could only educate not only ourselves but our children on communication techniques.
I was just going to say, it's communication. Everything is communication. Really, even if you're communicating and you're wrong, it doesn't make a difference, just so you're communicating.
Just everybody has, and that always comes down to basic needs. Everyone wants to feel heard, and everyone wants to feel understood, and then somewhat supported. So even if the person did something that is maybe you didn't care for, most of the time we just want to hear, okay, I get your point of view. It might have looked that way to you. I'm sorry. What can I do in the future where we can have agreements? So it's really that beautiful, I think they first introduced it, it's called nonviolent communication. Best approach I've ever come across, and I've taken it to like the nth degree, teaching everyone I know how to use these tools. It will diffuse any argument. It will get if you're in hot water, it will get you out of hot water. If you see someone else getting kind of getting upset, it will fuse them, and you can really come together towards either a verbal agreement or sometimes even a written agreement where that conflict goes into peace. And it's funny how it's mostly about you just didn't understand my perspective. No one's getting me. And once we feel like we're understood and heard, everybody feels like they lighten up, and all of a sudden they're floating again. And that's what I'm trying to help and encourage in some of these things. And those kind of techniques, I'm afraid we don't educate. We're not well educated on this. Most people are not well educated on how to use these techniques. And it makes all the difference in the world having really healthy, honest relationships.
Well, and even if there's a disagreement about, we tend to be territorial beings, and so we impose our experiences on our territory. So, for instance, in my territory, I don't like grilling. It's because, everybody, I'm not American, I guess, because everybody likes grilling. But when you go out, you've got the grill to clean, you've got all the stuff to do. You've got to, if you're going to use charcoal, you have to go buy the charcoal. You have to put the charcoal lighter on, and it smells bad. I'm not a fan. but no, so don't send me hate mail. I'm sorry. I will eat your grilled burgers. but when that viewpoint, that attitude doesn't have to live in my territory, really. It can be that somebody else can grill, right? My son can come over and grill. My neighbor can come over and grill. My contractor can make a hamburger on the grill. I don't have to impose that bad feeling on everyone around me. And I think that's what you're trying to teach in your workshops, that once you know yourself, you can choose whether or not to be stinky.
Absolutely. And also being so clear, because I think one thing that you just, your example would be, I don't enjoy X grilling, and but if you want to do it, it's really clear that doesn't work for me. But it's great for you, it's great for the neighbor, it could be great for somebody else, or if somebody's just going to hand you a really fresh burger, you might enjoy that too.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all.
Sounds to me like a job for
that incredible clarity.
Sounds to me like a job for male competence. Thank you.
He was dying to tell that joke.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But see, that little thing can really actually niggle and destroy a relationship. You can get into a huge fight about it when it really doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and then the other side is, if let's say you have an agreement, and this is the part that I found to be one of the most it's the challenge part, because even if you have an agreement, for example, of course the garbage, right? The one agreement, the one thing that, my fiancé is supposed to do is take the garbage out. And if he doesn't, I can immediately get irritated, because it is our agreement, we've talked about it, we wrote it down, and it's still not going out. So that's when you have the opportunity to talk about, okay, what's the consequence here? Is there a consequence? And how do you not turn it into this irritation that gets stuffed and then builds and grows, and the next time something happens, there's like this something that flies out that's inappropriate, but it's because you felt like you had a broken agreement.
My God, you just touched the hearts of half our listening audience. The garbage issue.
The garbage talk, people. I know, and it's like, you don't smell that? I smell that. I'm in the other part of the room. And then I'm like, I'm being passive-aggressive. Look at me be passive-aggressive. I'm like calling myself out on myself. So it's really helped for us to build in the consequence.
Yeah, and you know what? So many people eat it and take out the garbage because nobody else is doing it.
But you know what's funny about that? That becomes codependence.
Oh, tell me about it. Yeah, it's not good. But getting there, see, that's where your workshop, that's where your work, that's where your book is all about, that's where your future books are going to be about, is the techniques to get to the place where you don't have to go through that.
Absolutely, because when you are that clean and you're in the moment without the emotional responsiveness, I call it that wave. The wave is supposed to be this nice, cool wave that goes, our lives are supposed to be a wave. If there's a line straight across, it has a nice little up and down. Yes, something good happened today. Okay, I didn't get a role or whatever thing went on that wasn't exactly. And then tomorrow something great happened. And it goes up and down. But when you're really high, which is the emotional responsiveness, like screaming, yelling, being fiery, being like just, all charged. I call that like the really high part. Or if you're really low, which means you've stuffed it enough where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm feeling bad about myself. Or you turn it inside, which ends up usually turns into like a depression or something where you just don't want to play this game anymore. And that's the negative part. That's where you're not supposed to be, on the super high part and the super low part. And what's missing, and what I like to offer, all these techniques for how you can keep your wave nice and chill, and life around you then as a result, because you're brighter, your wave is really cool, you're not fiery, you're not going after things, you're not being passive-aggressive, and most importantly, not codependent, because that's the one where you're not aware sometimes that you have just supported somebody else's behavior that they just said, and they're, how the whole codependency, I just reinforced the fact that you didn't do your job by doing it for you.
Right.
So and what that does is that then sucks into the person who just did the activity. It doesn't serve you, and it also does not serve the other person, believe it or not. Doing their job for them actually is lack of responsibility on both sides. So that's where you have to take 100% accountability for you, your circle, and then let them have accountability for their circle, and that's when the consequence comes in. What happens if you don't, or what happens if this or that? And if you have those agreements mapped out, it usually can kind of keep it at bay. And
okay, so hold
really
the thought.
happy.
Hold the thought. We're going to come right back after the break, and we're going to talk about relationships. Whoa.
Relationship. And we're back with the Intuitive Angel here on 24-7 SoundCloud. No, I just found out, and I saw it on the computer. I saw the address as 24-7, and I just heard from Todd, the head honcho out here, that no, you just search 247thestream.com. So you go to, if you'd like to hear a former show of ours, you can hear this week's or last week's or other shows, go to soundcloud.com/247thestream.
Or go to soundcloud.com and then just put in the search 24/7 the stream.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Okay.
There's a search box on SoundCloud.
Okay, so you put it on the search box. I'm having a 2-day, Amy.
Yes, you are. Dave is having a 2-day where his brain is not functional.
Male competence. Okay. Anyway, we're talking with a great lady here. I got to tell you, Dianne, we love you. Dianne Bischoff here. And again, just one more reminder, the Tinley Park Body, Mind, Spirit Expo. It's happening Saturday and Sunday. And on Sunday at 2 o'clock, she's having her Reboot Your Life workshop.
And I'm going to tell you this is a treat because mostly at those things they don't give you 2 hours. So you're special, Dianne.
I'm very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate. And I just love doing that. And it's one of my very favorite things to do are the workshops.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your future project. And I'm always intrigued that minds work along similar paths, okay? I began about 2 or 3 years ago working with a number of authors, and we would get together and do kind of a group chat where we would just talk to each other about life, the universe, and everything. And one of the things we came up with is that the book that Rhonda Byrne wrote, it was a responsible for the recession that we're in. And you know, this seems kind of far-fetched that would happen, but the truth is that there is work between here and the future. That if you want, say in your case, Dianne, you wanted to be an actress, there were steps you had to take in order to be an actress. And a lot of those steps, there's physical steps, actual taking a class or learning about your craft. And then there's emotional steps where you believe you can do it, right?
Absolutely.
Visioning, if I vision myself as Madonna, okay, in one of those sexy little costumes, I can vision myself until I drop dead, and it's not going to happen. So I probably shouldn't invest in a recording company. I probably shouldn't go get a bunch of sexy little costumes that I can't wear. I most likely shouldn't go out and strut around in stiletto heels because I would kill myself.
And most of all, you shouldn't sing.
Most of all, I shouldn't sing. Okay, so now that doesn't mean that I can't actually have that happen, but I can't jump ahead of the steps. Does that make sense to you, Dianne?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So steps are the part that have been left out in a lot of things like The Secret. They talk about the visioning, and everybody hopped on the bandwagon. Oh yeah, I can vision myself in a great house. Can you vision yourself paying the mortgage? That was the real. That's the thing. Okay. Do you have the resources to pay the mortgage? And the greed of the companies that gave you a mortgage when you didn't have the resources all came from this idea that if you think it's just going to come true. It is true that emotionally, spiritually, physically, if you think it, you can get there, but there's steps to take. So one of the things I've been looking at is the randomness of the universe and how to navigate the up and down energies that you were talking about, so that you can take the steps with joy and understand how the curve works, and that the best possible thing you can do is, if it was from 0 to 100, stay at 50, because you can move much quicker. So what are you studying on this? Because I was fascinated that you're kind of on the same path.
I am on the same path. In fact, the entire next book that I'm working on is dedicated to everything that you just mentioned, Amy. So I'm super excited. I am still in R&D on this, but I have come up with a formula. It touches on everything that you just mentioned. It's a formula. I've noticed what I've noticed, just kind of as a high level of this book, is that there seems to be a formulaic approach to getting pretty much anything that you want, but it involves all of the quadrants of the quintessence, which is the mental, emotional, spiritual, and the physical.
Yes.
And it involves other pieces as well, because this is a collaborative universe. So it also involves things where you're talking about the morphogenic nature of things, the energetic nature, and also what we talked about, kind of ties everything we've talked about, our belief systems and where we sit as belief systems. And then it involves whether, like Amy, if you and I were going to be collaborating together, we go into this vacuum, which, according to Nassim Harim, has the entire black hole concept, and we put it in together, and what comes out on the other side is the result. And if you don't include all these different pieces, and then there's an additional piece, which I'm not sure exactly what to call it yet, but there's also kind of sort of a reality piece. There's, for example, when you're in the city of Chicago and you want to be an actor, you can be an actor. I've just gone through this for 10 years. However, the Hollywood A's don't come here very often.
Correct.
Rarely. There's a few. So if you want to do all Hollywood A movies, there is a piece of that would say the reality piece is there's a whole lot more out on the West Coast and actually in New York than there is here. So there is a certain aspect of what is happening in the co-creating of it that you also need to take into account. So when she wrote The Secret, I actually, when I first read it, I thought, okay, I want $1 million and I want it in a brown paper bag and I want it on my doorstep.
Now.
And it would be really nice if it was there on Tuesday.
Girl power.
Girl power.
Guess what happened? There was no bag. It didn't happen. I probably didn't believe it could happen. That was part of it. Part of it is that we don't do anything. We are physical beings creating within a physical universe, which means our application towards it on 5 different levels has to be lined up. And that's what the whole new formula is going to be about. What are all these levels that have to line up to get it? Well, if I didn't do anything for $1 million, I'm not sure as a being within this physical universe, I should have $1 million. I mean, I think I maybe didn't earn it. I didn't get it. I mean, so there's all these different aspects as to why, Dave, I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for the bag. But it's not there. And it's, for all those different reasons, I didn't contribute anything to get it. Maybe part of me says, guilt-wise, I don't deserve it, or whatever it might be, or that's not real. And so that's why the whole just dream it up and it'll show up, I'm finding that all is a formula, and it ties in with, and the formula is going to be pretty cool, but it's going to end up being kind of a simplistic view, a kind of a synthesized view of all these different aspects, because a lot of different teachers and healers are touching on different aspects. Some people just do the healing. Some people just do just how to manifest. Some people just do power and success. Some people just do, how to have a great relationship. Some, there's all this, and I'm going to try to, I'm pretty excited right now because I'm kind of boiling it down into a little sieve. And in that sieve, if you do X, Y, and Z, and if it's part of your truth, pretty much it's going to be coming
no matter
your way.
what, even if that bag of money was not on your front porch, you're still thin and beautiful, and that's really good.
Well, you're very sweet, so thank you for saying that.
All right. Well, what a great night. I got to tell you, thank you so much. Dianne, for coming on the show with us. Of course, Dianne Bischoff, author of a great book. Read it if you get a chance. It's available everywhere, The Real Brass Ring. And she's also appearing at the Tinley Park Body, Mind, Spirit Expo. It's happening all weekend, but her bit is going to be, of course, the big Life Reboot workshop happening Sunday at 2 o'clock in Tinley Park at the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo. Great job, as always. And Dianne, by the way, we are going to be talking off the air sometime this week. We are going to get together, and we're going to have you out to Oswego to do a workshop.
Oh, I am so excited about that. Thank you for inviting me, and I absolutely can't wait. It's going to be fantastic.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon, Dianne. Take care.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Dianne.